All right. Indiana. Oh my word. Frank's going to like talking about this one. Indiana loses 76 to 104 to Auburn. Just not a great game by Indiana. I was actually watching this one with my in-laws who are rabid IU fans, and just the entire game was like, why is this happening? What are you doing? Mike Woodson, what's going on? I don't think a single positive thing was said throughout the entire game, nor did they really deserve it. Auburn just kind of had their way in this one. Now, it was down in Atlanta, and, there was a lot of made about that on the broadcast about how Bruce Pearl really gets a lot of guys from Atlanta, which is true. So I'm sure there was added motivation there for him, but even with that added motivation, I don't think a close to 30 point loss with the other team scoring triple digits really warrants what happened in this game. Frank, go ahead. We know you're enjoying this one. What are your thoughts?
Like I said, I try to root for Big Ten and non-con. I really do.
We understand if you don't root for IU.
But the big storyline before the game was, obviously Xavier Johnson wasn't playing. Yeah. That being said, I'm not sure his presence would have stopped what we saw. Who knows though? Who knows? But I think Indiana got out to the early lead. It was 26-20, 10 minutes into the first half. One thing we saw was Mackenzie Mbako hit a couple threes and his stroke was looking good. But defensively, Auburn really looked to go after him. I felt like there was a couple times where he got lost in some switches and they were just able to capitalize on it seemingly every single time. But really, we didn't see the greatest game from Ware from an efficiency standpoint. I think he was like 2 for 8 from the floor, so not what you want to see from him. I mean, and Reneau was 6 for 12. He's 0 for 1 from 3. We've come to expect more from both of those by this point. But really, as I said last time I was on here, I think Trey Galloway is the guy who really needs to step up offensively. Like that's what Indiana's missing right now, and we've been seeing an uptick in CJ Gunn's minutes. And I'm just not a fan personally. And I'm not the biggest fan either of on-off numbers, but I looked at some on-off numbers for CJ Gunn. IU's offensive rating goes down 20 when he's on the floor. Their defensive rating goes up 21.3, which is pretty abysmal, honestly. So I don't know. Woodson obviously sees something in him or he wouldn't be playing. I mean, Woodson has to know this. If I know it, he knows this. But yeah, I just felt like they did a really good job of exploiting every tiny mistake that IU made. There wasn't a ton of mistakes, outside of some, missed switches early on, but they went off from 3. What was the Jaylin Williams played a fantastic game, 24 points, 150 offensive rating. I really didn't expect this. I expected a closer game, especially being a neutral site. The first half, it definitely sounded like a pro IU crowd. And then it just was amazing how it shifted to a pro Auburn crowd in the second half. But I don't know, did either of you see the video that Auburn basketball put out after the game too?
No, I didn't see that.
I don't know if you're familiar with the old This Is IU kind of music video, but they remade it, and it was actually a production done by Auburn, and they put a ton of time and effort and energy into it. And man, that would have been really embarrassing to put all that time in if they ended up losing the game. But it's entertaining. I would definitely give it a watch if you get some free time.
Was it on Twitter?
It is on Twitter. Yeah, they tweeted it. I mean, it's highly produced and the lyrics are funny. I mean, they put a whole lot into it. I didn't realize Auburn was so into themselves, I'll say.
Well, Bruce Pearl's kind of into himself, so maybe it's rubbing off on the rest of them.
He took the words out of my mouth there.
I do not like Bruce Pearl. I'll just say it right now. I think you hit a lot of good points there. I as well am questioning what's going on with CJ Gunn. He just kind of strikes me as, I had this kid named Dallas who played soccer with me in college, and he was one of those kids that like every day in practice, he was just unstoppable, unbeatable. I mean, he would play so well in practice and looked like one of the best players on the team. And then you put him in the game and he was so tentative and he never really accomplished what you felt like he could do based off what he did in practice. And I'm wondering if that's kind of what we're getting with CJ Gunn here. I mean, he's a freshman, so maybe some of that is coming out where he's comfortable playing hard in practice and being aggressive and doing those kind of things. But in the games, I just don't know if he looks super comfortable. And so I'm wondering if we're seeing that here. And Mike Woodson kind of is known for pushing his players where if they feel uncomfortable, he's just going to put them out there and say, get through it and make the play. And I felt like he was doing that with CJ Gunn a little bit in this game. And unfortunately, it just didn't work out for him. 18 minutes, only 3 points, 3 fouls, and only 1 rebound. That's a hard game for CJ Gunn. Shaps, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I assume Gunn is having to play more and have more responsibility because Xavier Johnson is out.
Yeah.
They're a totally different team without him. Yeah, by the time I flipped this game on, it was basically over with, by halftime. I was kind of watching the score a little bit, and then I was like, oh, okay, Indiana's getting off to a good start. I think they had a 12-point lead early in the game, and then I had to double check this. Auburn went on a 42-12 run to close the first half. That's hard to overcome. This was a tough watch for me as well because I hate Bruce Pearl so much. He basically destroyed the Illinois program in the early 90s when Illinois was really, really good. Coming off the Flying Illini stuff, and then he snitched and said that we were paying off players when he was a coach at Iowa, and it wasn't true at all, but we still got slapped, with some punishment by the NCAA. So he's a total scumbag. And obviously I'm not a big fan of Indiana as
Firing
well.
Squad for Bruce Pearl.
Yeah, always. He's always walking the plank. And so it was a tough watch for me, not liking either team, but the Indiana, like I said, they're just a different team without Xavier Johnson. They're still 2-0 in the Big Ten though. So they'll be interesting to kind of keep an eye on. They just don't have a lot of depth, so if one or two guys go down, they really are going to struggle. I mean, their only losses so far are to UConn and Auburn. So it's not, on paper, it doesn't look that bad. But the analytics say they're not a very good team on either end of the floor. They got Kansas coming up at home. That's probably not going to go well for them. But I guess you never know with their home crowd at Assembly Hall. So maybe they can pull off the upset there. It'll be interesting to watch, but if Xavier Johnson's out, I don't think it'll go well.
Yeah, and I think we're starting to see the effects of Xavier Johnson being out. Some of these other games, we saw Gabe Cupps really come alive and play some really strong defense and really energetic, but that energetic, strong, a defense game can only last for so long if you really don't have anything else. And I'm not trying to disparage Gabe Cupps. I really like him as a player, and I think that he's going to turn into something very good, but he's still just a freshman. And it's tough coming into a team like this where guard play is going to be so crucial for your bigs, especially with Xavier Johnson going down, for Gabe Cupps to really turn into who they need this fast. Not everybody can be Braden Smith and turn into the perfect guy you need freshman year, right, Frank?
Must be nice.
That's hard to do. Thanks for listening to the Big Ten Huddle. Please do like and subscribe. We appreciate that. If this was your first time listening, we are the Big Ten Huddle. We cover all things Big Ten football and basketball. We have a long episode every Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night, all at 9 o'clock. So come in, check us out, get in the chat, let us know what you're thinking. We would love to have you join us and learn more about the Big Ten.